Just a few minutes ago, we played session 1 of the pilot episode of our new Star Trek Adventures campaign, as yet unnamed. And I did some things that I wasn't sure I was going to do. Namely, I brought in the conceit of the viewing audience at home, kind of my way of reinforcing the notion that it is an episode of television, and that we're passing through the lens, the glass of the TV into the episode. I've ostensibly set the date that the series launches as 1970, September 9th, 1970, and we've got a husband and a wife and 2 kids who are watching the episode on Thursday night in some mid-American city with a Nielsen box in the corner. So they've just begun watching the pilot, and I'm not sure how far through we are. We spent a lot of time talking about rules, and not in a bad way, in a good way. And this gave me a lot of confidence that the players are up on the rules. So I would begin an explanation, partly to make sure that we're all on the same page, and also to explain how I'm going to be calling for things or doing things. Like an unstated difficulty will be difficulty 0, this kind of stuff. And practicing with some on-screen resources for the use of for visual tracking of momentum and threat, ship's power, ship shields, this kind of stuff. I don't know if that will ultimately prove necessary. We'll use it for a couple of more sessions, and then decide if it's worth sharing the screen and flipping back and forth, because I notice that causes a pause as I process that. Is it worth doing? I don't know. I also experimented with a dice cam this time, with the option open for those people without dice, or for those for viewers at home, whatever, to be able to see the dice results. And the players opted to roll their own dice. So this is something that I'll want to talk about. I prefer just people rolling their own dice, but I also recognize that there are things about the Star Trek dice that work well visually, such as when you roll an effect or whatever on the challenge dice, or if you roll a 1 on the D20s. So I don't know, it's something to think about. I don't like rolling the dice for people, and I certainly don't want everybody to have their own dice cam. There'll be too many people in the meeting. But anyway, that's something to think about, or find a better way to do. But it's something I experimented with. So the group, because I know everybody, I don't know how they feel about each other yet, but because I know everybody to some extent, I feel pretty comfortable with people. So I don't mind stopping action to talk about a rule, to answer a question, to have a brief out-of-character moment about something. And because of this game being the way it is, it encourages a lot of talk about what is going on, while also providing a pretty deep experience of what is going on. And in the early stages of play, as I learned playing it before, there'll be an awful lot more of the talking about what is going on in order to get comfortable and familiar with it, so that we can more often have the deep connection to what is going on, or deep experience of what is going on. So it's a trade-off. So the experience of the game will evolve. So I know I'm going to look back on this first session and not like a bunch of stuff that I see. I'm not going to like the interruptions, people interrupting each other. I'm not going to like how many times I personally stop what's going on to either explain something or make a suggestion about something. One moment. I will, of course, cherish the moments where I get interrupted by, somebody barking. And do you remember the episode where Kirk goes in the transporter and is split into his good half and his evil half? Just imagine a little horn right there. So anyway, I'm going to look back at this episode and not feel great about how it was run. But I'm also going to look back at this episode and like the sparks of characterization that I've seen. I'm going to like the decisions that were made, the actions that were taken, and the pretty comfortable way I got to experiment with different types of description to see what people were reacting to. So I'm not a person that really likes to do description of camera movements, but when you're playing a game where the primary conceit is that it's an episode of television and you're trying to generate that feel, it kind of works to talk about the views and help people connect to their visual memory of the series in question. If we were playing Next Generation, or if we were playing Enterprise, or if we're playing the original series or whatever, there are certain angles, there's certain colors, there's certain camera movements that are part of the visual language of the show. And I feel it does a disservice to play to avoid that. And I don't want to avoid it simply because it's not my preference. So I threw it in a couple of times and waited for the cringe reaction of not liking that kind of play or looking for more acceptance of it. And so as we move forward, I'll try different things along those lines and see what players themselves suggest. The last time we played, my first campaign, which is a face-to-face campaign, I found people talking about the pin lights shining down on characters' eyes and revealing the different mascara and stuff that was there because it's 60s television, and so we'll see how things develop. So I feel very comfortable about experimenting with finding our way in terms of presentation, in terms of interaction, in terms of getting the aesthetic that's interesting to us, getting our Starfleet, getting our future, getting our Federation, and so on out there into a shared imagined space, which still leaves enough freedom for each player to have their own individual imagined space. I don't want to say too much and dominate what things look like, and I don't want to say too little and have people fumbling for connection to the visuals, the aesthetic of the show. So it's nice to feel that comfortable, especially considering it's going to be shared publicly. All right, that ends this log entry, I guess. After the pilot is finished, there will be things that are added, like particular theme music. There'll be our own version of Space, the Final Frontier. There'll be log entries, there'll be star dates, and I've kept these out of the pilot for reasons of efficiency, because I know that there's going to be so much getting ready to play comfortably talk, which is going to fade away over time, and then that can be replaced and play can be augmented and enhanced by this other stuff. Very important Star Trek stuff. So the pilot is going to feel like a pilot, I think, I hope, in retrospect. Anyway, warp speed, I guess, is what I have to say now. And if you're watching these commentary videos that go along with the live plays, thanks for doing so. Please feel free to interact with me, with us, either here in the comments on YouTube or at Adept Play in the actual play section. There'll be entries posted about all of this. So thanks for watching, and take care.